American cattlemen, it's time to stand up and fight. I raise a few head of show calves, not very many. I'm not nearly as affected by a lot of this as you guys, but I try and keep track of what's going on in the world, and especially in the agriculture sector along with cattle. So I don't know, there's several things here that I want to go over here. Starting off with what's called the cool labeling, or country of origin labeling. It is legal for a lot of these packing plants to ship in non-American beef, package it in the United States, and label it as American beef. The cool labeling, all that does is just means where it's packaged. It has nothing to do with actually where it's actually raised or anything that way. American beef is raised at a much higher standard than a lot of foreign beef is. So you don't get the good quality, overall quality of beef that you do from American raised beef, for one. Two, it is also putting a lot of pressure on, financially, on a lot of the American cattlemen. See, there's any kind of market, it's a supply and demand. So if you have more supply and same amount of demand, prices are going to go down. So you're really just hurting the American cattlemen by driving prices down by shipping in foreign beef. And that is killing a lot of farmers. In the last 20 years, around 75% of all feedlots from 20 years ago have now closed down. Every year, 1,200 cow-calf and background operations go under every year. 1,200 every year in America. These are all American statistics. Bringing in more foreign beef is not helping the American farmers. Definitely not helping the American cattlemen, which are already struggling the way it is because of the prices. And a lot of that I'm going to get into here in just a little bit. It comes back to who controls the market. 4 packing plants, JBS, Tyson Foods, Cargill, and Marfrig, account for 85% of U.S. beef markets. They're making record profits and not doing anything and not helping. And the American farmers are actually, either not making it or, making less every year. And with the price of everything going up right now, they're making even less because you got to figure that in as well. And the prices of beef is not, of live cattle really isn't going up. I mean, it's staying fairly consistent right now, and it's not bad prices right now. But there's a lot more expense than there was, 3-4 years ago right now with the price of everything. It's getting crazy what we're doing. It's absolutely insane how much some of these companies make. I wrote down here, look, I got some notes here. JBS, and ending the fiscal year ending in March 2022, they made $4.4 billion. Tyson Foods, ending in March 2022 for their fiscal year, they made $4.1 billion. Cargill is a privately owned company, but they're what they could find for their trading, or for their amount that they made $4.9 billion in May, from ending in May of 2021 for that year. That's a 60% increase from the previous year. And Marfrig made $802.1 million in the year 2021. These are the 4 big packing plants making that much money. That's the kind of beef, that's where your beef that you're buying in the store is coming from. 85% of the market comes from these 4 companies. It's borderline monopoly. It's ridiculous. Then I decided I was going to look into it. I've heard a lot of people complaining about the local butcher shops and what you have to do to get into that, and some of the licensing requirements. I haven't really had a chance to look into that a whole lot. I think different states have different ideas. I know we just had 2 here in southern Iowa, here in my hometown here in Mona, Iowa. We just had 2 actually open up here in the last 2 years or so. One of them actually is licensed, FDA inspected, everything to sell meat and everything that way. They can butcher and sell meat and everything that way. The other one is not. I do encourage you, if you especially small towns, it's pretty easy to find cattle producers in the rural areas. But if you're living in a rural area, you don't raise your own cattle, but you're wanting to really support these guys, because these are the people that they're struggling right now. And I just giving you some numbers there. Those companies are making many big time money, and they're not passing it on to the cattlemen. The cattlemen's prices are pretty well staying about consistent with the price of everything else going up. Feed's going up. The feed I'm feeding, a year ago, I think I was paying about $6 for a bag of it. Like I said, I raised a few show calves, and so I got a few in the lot, so I buy all my feed, and I think it's about $6 a bag roughly. It's not very expensive feed. It was pretty cheap feed. That was about a year ago. I got some, I think it's about a week ago, and it was over $10 a bag for the exact same feed a year apart. Like, prices are going up. It's getting ridiculous. But when you go to sell them, the prices really haven't gone up that much. So you're paying more for feed, you're paying more for mineral, you're paying more in fuel, you're paying all that stuff, and you're really not making any more money. Plus, when you go to the sale barn, you obviously have to pay, commission and all these fees and the beef checkoff and all that. And that's another thing we can get into, but I don't really have a whole lot of information on that. But I know there's a lot of, you have to pay all that stuff. And I guess I was watching a video here yesterday, I think it was, and they were talking about this magazine. It's called Drover's Magazine. Bad mouthing these cattlemen that are talking, saying, hey, something's not right. We're not making this much money, and all these companies are, and they're importing all this beef, and they're not really helping the American cattlemen out. And they're bad mouthing those cattlemen for calling that out. It's a simple supply and demand market. It always has been. It always will be. That's the way it is. So, what I encourage you to do, if you are not raising your own beef, and you've got a locker, a meat locker somewhere close, I would encourage you to help support these guys. Go purchase a good quality beef. Quit trying to, and I'm not saying you don't have to buy meat from the store, but try and at least help some of these farmers out. Give them a good price. Give them a good, you can get pay market, whatever. But if they can buy it for the market, they don't have to pay the excess fees. You can buy the calf, have it butchered, everything that way. A lot of times they'll deliver right to the market. We've done that. We always try and butcher one for ourselves, and we always usually sell about half a beef a year to another family. They pay for half of it and half the processing, and whatever that way. So we always do that. But if you can do something like that, it's going to cost you a little more up front, but you're going to get a lot better quality meat. And overall, it's probably going to save you money in the long run too, because it's going to be a lot cheaper to buy a whole beef than to try and buy all that from the store. And when you're doing that, you're also putting even more money into the pockets of these big companies. Try and keep the money out of the pockets of them. Try and support your local farmers, your local cattlemen, because they're the ones that need the help right now. Thanks.